No, Kyle Dubas will not be the next GM of the Oilers. Let's get into literally anything else with the lead. It's a good one, eh?
You never know.
No, I think I know.
I don't know. Where do all former Toronto Maple Leafs land?
Yeah. They've always said Edmonton is Toronto's graveyard.
Well,
as the saying goes.
Yeah.
Welcome into Oilers Nation Everyday, live from the Sports Closet studio and live over on the Oilers Nation YouTube, where you're all nice and fired up about Kyle Dubas. As Luke commented, Dubas out. Confirmed. APOC Hockey Fanatic was the first comment of the day, though. He says, might be a good time to save some money. I don't even know what that's in reference
to. In general?
I think he's talking free agency, because the title of the show is the best fitting free agents for the Oilers. That makes sense.
I don't think you can maybe save a little bit of money for a trade deadline. But I would buy a little bit still. There's holes.
Yeah, the Oilers, we'll see. We'll get into it today on the show. Welcome in live from the Sports Closet studio. Like I said, Anna is in and says we need a right D and a right winger. Anna, in order to get a right D and a right winger, you also got to move out a right D and a right winger, as we talked about yesterday. Tyler Yaremchuk is in and says, as much as I like our former Toronto players, I'm not sure Dubas is the right person for GM here. I know this name was thrown around a lot this year, but what about Parayko to play with Nurse? We can touch on that. But let's start with the Kyle Dubas thing. Come on, it's big news. It happened in the center of the hockey world, Liam. Kyle Dubas gone as GM of the Leafs. And now this is really interesting when you consider the reporting we were hearing in the last couple of weeks. First, it was Kyle Dubas at his year-end press conference saying it will either be Toronto or nowhere. He said he will not resurface next year with a new club. But then the reports were the Leafs actually want him back, and it's Dubas who's on the fence about returning. He cited the stress it put on his family and all that kind of stuff. And then today the Leafs come out and basically say it was their call. They're deciding not to bring back Kyle Dubas for another season as GM of the Leafs or give him any sort of extension. That in turn makes me wonder about his side of the story. Will he stay and, in a way, honor that I'm not popping up in a new spot? Or will he go, whoa, I came to you guys after taking a few days with my family, said I want to be back, and you greased me?
Yeah. I don't think Dubas owes any loyalty to the Leafs.
He owes zero loyalty to them.
I think that's a big thing in sports is like, oh, you can't go here because you played for this team or whatever it is, right? It's like, well, if that team doesn't want you anymore, then what do you owe them, right? And I think this is a very interesting decision by the Toronto Maple Leafs. I personally wouldn't have fired Kyle Dubas. I think he did everything he possibly could to make this team a Stanley Cup contender. And you talk about goaltending all you want. Samsonov actually had a pretty good season overall.
Yeah, he did. That was a good grab.
Joseph Wall has been good when he's played for them. Matt Murray, obviously a bit of an experiment. They got what they got from there, but he's put together a great team. And I think sometimes it just comes down to the players simply didn't execute. Maybe you can put that on the coach a little bit too. I thought it was funny that they fired the entire Toronto Marlies staff today too, but haven't touched anything on their own staff yet.
I would imagine they're going to let their next GM make that decision, right?
That's true. But I just kind of thought maybe do you not think it just always feels like the inevitable though? When like a new GM comes in, like he's always going to want his own guy.
And if it's not his own guy now, it'll be his own guy when they're 5-9 to start next season or something, right?
Exactly. And then you just like open up a can of worms there too. Like I feel like just get it over with, rip the Band-Aid. Sheldon Keefe is not the future of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
No. For the people who are saying, oh, Dubas, next GM of the Oilers, good play to bring him in and have the succession plan for after Holland. One, put some respect on Steve Stamkos' name. Two, listen, Dubas did some really, really good things for this team. I'm not going to sit here and trash him overly hard. But I also think it's important to look at some of the perimeter moves he made. One, he loaded up at this deadline and didn't really get him that far. And he loaded up on pieces that are, aside from Jake McCabe, all leaving.
Yeah.
He spent a lot of assets on guys who are, in all likelihood, going to walk away. I also think people like to cite, oh, look, he got Giordano. And remember he brought in Simmons and Joe Thornton and all these things? Okay. Did Dubas get those guys, or did the Leafs, being the Toronto Maple Leafs, get those guys? A lot of players who come in and get that $800K deal. Jason Spezza was another one because it was the Leafs and they wanted to play for Toronto. So he had some sizable advantages. He also got a hell of a head start here. He got to start with Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Morgan Riley. He made good moves. I'm not saying he didn't. I like that TJ Brody trade they made a couple of years ago. I liked the Jake McCabe trade this year. The Tavares signing, not great, but in the moment, you do that.
Big,
so I understand it. And it's done in 2 more seasons. So it's not like the most crippling thing in the world. He's still a very good hockey player. But what else did he do that was that good? The Kadri for Barry trade was terrible.
Yeah. Jake Muzzin was pushing for them.
Couldn't stay healthy.
Until recently, for sure, but filled a hole. It is interesting that you mentioned all of that. And it's like Ryan O'Reilly, I guess, was a good move. He ends up staying. But yeah, they really pushed all their chips in for this one season, and it makes you think, like, did he know? Do you think he knew maybe that, like, this might be the end for him, and you kind of got to go all in now and then go from there? Because for a team that didn't make it out of the first round until this year, it really felt like they thought they had been there a few times before, when really there was still a lot more steps for them to take.
Yeah. I don't think he's the elite GM that his reputation gives off.
I agree. I think he's a very good general manager. I think he put Toronto in a good spot, but now it does feel like someone does need to come in and maybe take that next step. But I think he is a good GM.
Yeah. Someone in here, D White, Tavares signing was horrible. I don't buy that, man. You got to think in the moment, like that Leafs team, young players, you go, hey, bring in a veteran superstar, and he was like 28 when he signed that deal. And John Tavares was a superstar who would, not had playoff success in Long Island, but he put up great numbers. I think that Tavares signing was a fine bet to make. I think any sane GM makes that bet.
Well, didn't like 10 teams have a meeting with John Tavares that year? Like, you got to think, like, why would you not go in on that? If Toronto didn't go in on that, people would be looking back being like, oh, do you imagine if Toronto had John Tavares on this team?
Yeah.
Like, he's a great player. And at that point, like, plays like that aren't available every day, right? Like, you got to take the opportunity. And we always talk about, like, oh, is McDavid going to go? Is Matthews going to go? Well, Tavares is like the only star to really move in the last 10 years or so, maybe a little bit longer. I'm not sure. But, like, he's the biggest player to move in a free agency in recent memory.
Owen says, I want this over Staios, in my opinion. Both can't be our GM until next season. Someone else was in here and said, I have no appetite for Staios. Go talk to Dubas in a year. Where's this appetite for Dubas? Like,
it's weird.
This guy hasn't won anything. They haven't gotten a sniff. Find me the slam dunk trades he's made. He's made some good moves. I'm not saying he hasn't. But this stuff that he's like the golden child, whatever, and I'm not even like, he's not even like a spreadsheet GM. Everyone loves to be like, oh, Dubas with his glasses and the analytics, blah, blah, blah. Like, he's not an analytical GM, man. The dude had Wayne Simmons on his roster for 2 years. Right? Like, I don't know. I just think he gets this reputation because people hear his name so much, and he was touted as this golden boy, similar to a John Chaika. And he did, again, Dubas is a good GM. I'm not saying he sucks. He's a good GM. He made some good moves. Ultimately, I think the failures of that team kind of on that core not coming through in the playoffs, and also maybe the depth not being exactly what it needs to be. But I don't understand the love fest with this guy. I would much rather, Staios has 0 NHL GM experience. Okay, well, you got to take shots on guys. You want the next Julien Brisebois? You want the next go down the line? It's the same thing with coaching and Jay Woodcroft. Jay Woodcroft had 0 NHL head coaching experience before they brought him in, and it works. You got to take shots with these guys. You need to trust that you can find the right people. And Dubas is just to me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the next question about this, outside of like the coaching staff and everything, is Austin Matthews.
100%, man.
It made it seem the whole narrative was like Matthews wants to be here because of Kyle Dubas. And it's like, Dubas is gone now.
Yep.
Like, what does this mean? Like, how does the relationship work with the next GM? And we obviously won't know, but it's this summer he can sign the ticket, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting one. I don't think he'll sign it. I think he'll linger.
But how can you let a franchise player linger as a UFA into the season?
Well, I don't know. That's the Calgary Flames.
Well, exactly. Like, I think you need to have a real tough conversation with Austin Matthews, because right now you might not want to make him the highest paid player in the NHL based on the season he's coming off of. Austin Matthews probably won't sign a contract that doesn't make him the highest paid player in the NHL. They're at a weird impasse here.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
I think the door is not open to trading him, but there is a door, and it's certainly not locked.
Yeah, there's a loose lock on it.
Yeah.
One little twist.
I think Mitch Marner could be had. A new GM is going to be a totally fresh perspective. Now, there's also a chance that they just elevate Brandon Pridham, their assistant GM, make him the new GM, and run this thing back.
If I was Toronto, I think I'd look outside the market a little bit.
Me too.
I think you do need a fresh face in there because people now have just been involved in this whole process and everything. Like, you need new ideas. Someone keeps, what was it? Mike D said Brad Trelevin.
That'd be interesting.
He actually, to Trelevin's credit, he actually has had a pretty good reputation as, I think he's made some good moves under the general manager role at the Flames. Like, the Tanev deal has been decent. He's just not been healthy. Managed to actually get something for Matthew Tkachuk. I know it hasn't worked out yet, but I think Huberdeau and Weegar will work out in the long run for them. So maybe it wouldn't be such a bad idea. Has experience of trading players who don't want to be in that city.
Yeah.
Could be big.
Tyler Mulick, Dubas to the Penguins. I think if he takes a year off, it's Dubas to the Sens next summer.
Oh,
they'll go 1 year with their ownership being what it is, and like they'll get it sorted out. Then they'll run a year with Dorian, and at the end of next season, they'll shake Pierre's hand. And Kyle Dubas, it's his childhood team. It's who he grew up rooting for. Dubas to Ottawa makes a lot of sense, and that heel turn of going from Leafs GM, losing your job, going to Ottawa, and like going on a run before the Leafs do, that'd be tremendous theater.
That would be, is there any names out there right now who could possibly, I know it's very fresh, but has anyone been linked yet with Toronto from what you've seen?
No, not really.
If like any Shanahan's buddies are going to be impacted by this.
Well, Frank talked about Shanahan maybe taking on a bigger role.
Oh, interesting. Because I feel like that's a name that people kind of don't want there anymore too.
I think it's slowly getting to that point, but interesting stuff. Interesting stuff going on in Toronto. They'll probably make some big roster moves this offseason. So it'll be fascinating because they only got like $7.4 million in cap space still. And that's with a lot of pieces leaving that roster. Their UFAs and RFAs, Aaron, we can flash this back up quickly. Kerfoot, O'Reilly, Camp, Achari, Bunting, Aston Reese, Hall, Shen, Samsonov, like they got work to do, man. They're in a bit of trouble here. So that'll be interesting. But let's get into some Oilers talk here because it's time for our Sherwood Ford giant offseason question of the day, Liam. And Frank Saravalli, he teased us today on Daily Faceoff Live. He dropped his top 10 free agents for this season. And what he also did for a few of them was he added potential contracts for them. And I found that very interesting. But let's flash up the top 10 here for Frank because there is a new number 1. It used to be Bunting. It is now Damon Severson at number 1 on the list, followed by Bertuzzi, Orlov, who's a left defenseman, JT Compher, Michael Bunting, Ryan Graves, who I don't hate at all, Alex Killorn, but Graves is also a lefty, Alex Killorn, Patrick Kane, Ryan O'Reilly, and Vladislav Gavrikov. Now I can hear the comments. I can hear people around Edmonton tapping away at their keyboard saying, Severson to the Oilers, Severson to the Oilers. The projected contract for this guy, according to Frank, and he partnered up with an analytics team to do this, and they're pretty good with this kind of stuff, 6 years by $6.1 million. Ooh. Good Lord, I'm not signing Damon Severson for $6.1 million.
No, you can't. You can't do that. You'd be paying him more than Matthias Ekholm.
Foolish.
Very silly. Very, very silly. Yeah, I'm looking at this board, and I mean, what players wouldn't you want, right? But it's just going to be such a difficult task for the Oilers to really sign any of them. There is one name, though, which I wouldn't mind trying to figure it out. And I've changed my tone on him a little bit, but Vladislav Gavrikov. But he's going to be a little bit of money, I know that. But if there's one name in that top 10, I would like the Oilers to go out, and I think you just help them tremendously, would be a Gavrikov. Because he's a lefty. He was a righty.
He's a lefty.
I guess so. I might take him anyway. Like I said yesterday, I'm kind of over the idea of like left and righties. Like I feel like they can figure it out as long as it's not like 6 lefties, 6 righties. So I think I might be on the Gavrikov train. I just think he would help them just massively.
Tyler Mulick has been saying this a few times now in the chat. So we'll get to it here. Colton Parayko. Floating this back out there on Frank's trade targets board, he did have the idea that they could look to move a defenseman in St. Louis. One of the 4, Falk, Krug, Parayko, Leddy. They all have no trade clauses. They all make, 3 of them make $6.5 million, and Leddy makes 4. Colton Parayko's contract runs for 6 more years, 7 more years. I don't know how you fit that in unless they're keeping money. Listen, he's a right D. He's 30. I don't love the idea of having that contract till he's 36, 37 years old. I love the idea of a local guy. I like the player. I don't love the player anymore. I think his game's taken a bit of a step back over the last 18 months. If St. Louis is going to eat some and take Ceci, you're still giving up a first and probably something else, considering the financial side of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it. I like it, but I don't see it as realistic is kind of my point. I think there's too many hurdles to clear to get a deal done for a guy like Colton Parayko. I'm not sure if the juice is worth the squeeze in that sense. And I think they're better off. Again, if you can free up $6.5 million somehow for Parayko, I think you're better off just using that $6.5 million to get a free agent righty and go get a forward or something, you know?
Do you think you would have to pay more for Parayko than what you paid for Ekholm?
No.
No, just slightly, maybe just
it'd be less,
like a prospect.
But again, I think you need them to keep money in this scenario, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if St. Louis is overly interested in keeping money on a guy who has 7 more years. And then you can sit there and go, offload bad contracts. How many bad contracts do you have left if you're the Oilers? Like Yamo and Ceci would perfectly line up to it. I get that. But then again, you're emptying out your bad contracts to bring in one piece and not even giving yourself a lot of cap relief in that sense, right? Like I think the idea is you offload Yamo and Ceci and you go get like a $4 million replacement for Ceci and you go fill Yamo with a young guy or a cheap free agent.
Yeah, I just don't think the Oilers need to put themselves in that situation of just locking themselves into a Colton Parayko, who, like you said, is regressing quite steadily, I guess you could say. But the Oilers just don't need that. This group is good enough without Parayko that you could probably just go and add like a $2 or $3 million defenseman to help balance it out a little bit more instead of investing so much in a Parayko. I mean, a couple of years ago, I would have been all over that Colton Parayko, but no, I'm off the bandwagon.
And here, if you can find takers for Ceci and Yamamoto, and then you're going, okay, we're spending $6 million on a D-man. Mm-hmm. Flash this up again, Aaron. He's 2 years younger. I would go to him. I'd say I wouldn't do 6x6, but I'd say, hey, I'll give you 4x6.5. It would end 3 years sooner than Parayko, 2 or 3 years sooner than Parayko. He's younger, might be a better fit, right? Like I think Parayko. And again, you're not gonna have to give up assets to get this guy. I think with Parayko, there's an element because of his reputation of you got to offload the money and then you got to pay assets to get him. That's just too much for me.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. The fact you could just go out and pay the same amount of money for a free agency and you could kind of put it in your own terms a little bit and not have to give up assets to do it just feels like a weird move to kind of do.
Tyler Mulick is firing up his own version of the trade machine. He says Yamo for Logan Stanley, 1-for-1. Stanley's a lefty.
What about Dylan DeMello? $3 million, right? 1 year left. No movement clause.
Modified. So 6-team no trade list. Edmonton, if he signed in Winnipeg, maybe Edmonton's not on his list. Edmonton might be on his list, though. Depends what he wants. But
I'm looking at Winnipeg because I feel like Winnipeg is one of those teams you might try and move things around this summer.
Yeah.
Pionk? McDavid Hayter?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't
makes a little bit,
but he makes too much. And I think he's valuable. DeMello would be interesting. I don't know what the analytics are on DeMello, but like when I watch him, I'm fine with him.
He's just kind of that guy you never really notice.
So is he your fresh look for Ceci? Like he's maybe not even an upgrade on Ceci, but he's a fresh look.
Which I think is what the Oilers are going to have to go and get. I don't think you can. No teams, you're not going to have enough money, I think is a good way to put it, to upgrade on a Cody Ceci, but you just need a fresh face in there, like you said, to just adjust things. And I think it might be a little bit better. He's 30 years old. How tall is he? 6 foot. So he got a little bit of size. He fits the mold for Ken Holland. Let's not forget, Ken Holland doesn't take anybody under 6 foot tall.
Ken Holland likes them tall, tall and thick. Aiden says Parayko's just a better Desharnais. Can see him turning into that. No, Desharnais does not have the offensive upside. Like Parayko's got a bomb of a shot. You can trust him to run a power play unit, even if it's power play 2. He moves better. Vinny Desharnais won't be Colton Parayko. Vinny Desharnais will be an everyday NHL defenseman. I believe that, but he won't be Parayko.
Do you think Vinny Desharnais could become a top 4 defenseman on this team next season?
No. I think we're in trouble if that's the case. I think he's he could be damn good third pairing guy.
Yeah. Okay.
If tall Brett Kulak. And he doesn't skate as well. It doesn't skate as well. It's a bad comparison. Someone else, Tyler Mulick says DeMello is a good look. Like,
thanks, Tyler.
Yeah, if he agrees with it, then it's probably a good move. He's pretty smart. Yamo for DeMello would make sense. I don't hate that at all.
Just a swap.
Yep.
Money both ways. Filling holes, I guess. Like,
find someone to take Ceci at that point.
Yeah.
Go get Connor Brown. You're $2 million ahead because I'm assuming Brown's like 1.25 with bonuses, or even if he's 2 million, you're a million something ahead. And you've got a fresh look on the right side. You've got a fresh look up front. You save some money. That would be a, as the kids say, W move, a Ken Holland dub.
A dub.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, dubs in the chat.
Let's get some dubs in the chat right now.
Hit the like button. Good Lord. 147 of you watching, 26 likes. Spike it up. Get it going. Come on now. JLM. Severson essentially pays third pairing competition, so his XGF is inflated. Similarly to Kulak, when forced to play elites, he tapers. That's why I'm not spending. Again, I threw out the example of, like, if you really want to go spend $6 million on a D-man and you love Parayko, just go get Severson at that point.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of paying either of those two guys $6 million. I think Severson is going to be a bad contract in 3 years.
Is there anyone on that list you want more than others? If hypothetical world, you're allowed to go and get anyone on this list, who would you get? I guess hypothetical and realistic.
Yeah, like, you need to walk that balance. I totally get what you're saying. Like, I don't touch Bunting. I think he's going to get overpaid. I think he's not Zach Hyman.
No, the Leafs tried to replace Zach Hyman with Bunting.
And it didn't go that well.
And didn't re-sign him.
I don't hate Graves, but the lefty-righty thing isn't great.
Yep.
Alex Killorn, I mean, at that point, you're looking at guys who are probably going to come cheap because they want to win. How badly does Alex Killorn want to keep winning? Or does he want one more good ticket and make some coin?
Or does he just return to Tampa on like a cheaper deal?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But I think the mold of an Alex Killorn, someone who has one, is someone who the others would like. But does he want to be here?
Where does Patrick Kane want to go? There's a part of me that still thinks Buffalo.
Yeah.
I think that would make a lot of sense. We had heard the Oilers were interested ahead of the deadline. Patrick Kane's got the hip thing too. He apparently needs hip surgery, and I don't think he's had it yet.
Okay.
So is Patrick Kane going to miss the first month of the season? Is Patrick Kane going to just do the 1-year deals trying to rebuild his value? If Patrick Kane, if you can move Yamo and get Kane for $4 million on a 1 or 2 year deal, I'm in, obviously. But, like, is that a possibility, I guess, is what I'm throwing out there.
How much money do you think he'll want?
But that's what I mean. We don't know.
So
he's made so much. He's got to be close to $100 million career earnings.
Here's a hypothetical for you. One that Jay would love.
Okay.
Patrick Kane gets hip surgery the day before the regular season starts. Can't play until late March. Get his LTIR money. The others upgrade a little bit somewhere else. And all of a sudden, you get Patrick Kane back for the playoffs. Even if he's just a third-line guy, you can probably play him on the power play a little bit if you needed to. Seems like a long shot.
I'd want him for the whole year or close to it. Yeah, okay. I'd want him. And I'd also want to know that the hip's going to be okay.
That's true. You would need some. Maybe he plays all of preseason. It's, didn't work out. It's fine. We got to get it done again.
No, I don't think you're getting that cutesy with it. Career earnings $115.6 million. That's not endorsements, folks. That's straight salary. So is it crazy to think Patrick Kane would look at a little run with Connor McDavid and go, I want to win another cup? Let's see what we can do. I still think it's Buffalo. That makes so much sense as that team tries to take a step forward. They need some high-end skill to play with Dylan Cousins on that second line. It makes sense. But, man, sliding them in. Tempting.
Patrick Kane back to Chicago?
No, I think that's
done.
I think that's done.
Buffalo would make a lot of sense. I wouldn't be surprised by that one by any means. I do feel like he's more likely to stay in the East more than anything. Yeah, I don't think he'll really.
The thing with him is always he's tight with his family. His dad travels on the road with to watch a lot. The travel schedule in the West might be something he actually considers.
And even just the Metropolitan Division overall, after experience it, what is the Devils, the Rangers? Isn't it like an 18-minute drive to the rink or something like that? Like, why wouldn't you want to be there if you're already over there, right?
Depends how bad he wants to win, I guess, right?
Yep.
If his thing is like Stanley Cups, that's all. My legacy in Stanley Cups, then coming to Edmonton would make sense. If his mindset is family and comfort, it's Buffalo. If his mindset's money, it might also be Buffalo. I just can't see his mindset being money. I think it's family and comfort or winning rings. Buffalo might offer you a unique one at both, but
yeah.
People are asking about Clayton Keller. Tyler Mulick says he's under 6 foot, so it's a non-starter. Some people are saying they were against Kane, by the way, but Brent said, how about Clayton Keller not reporting to the Coyotes? So if you've missed this saga,
it's interesting.
Yotes don't have an arena deal coming. Clayton Keller's dad's Twitter account posted that players aren't going to report, blah, 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 blah. Tweet gets deleted. Clayton Keller's dad tells Greg Wyshynski, I was hacked in the hours following the Tempe decision coming down. He says he was hacked. If you've ever been hacked, you know that they don't tweet things about your kid playing hockey. They try to sell your followers sunglasses.
Sunglasses is a big one, yeah.
And also, you don't get it back in 48 hours if you've ever been hacked. It takes a long time. Long time. Hackers, no one's hacking Clayton Keller's dad's Twitter account to tweet out that his kid isn't reporting to Coyotes camp without a new arena.
Also, this isn't junior hockey. Keller really has to go.
Yeah, like, I mean, he's getting $7 schmil next year. Like, he's going to camp. I just thought it was funny how the dad, again, it would have been late at night. I'm not here to speculate too much, but
a couple of whiskeys.
Maybe, you never, I don't know. I don't know the guy. Allegedly, in my opinion, he may have just tweeted something stupid that he regrets. And instead of saying, hey, I was frustrated and I spoke out, I own it. That does not represent Clayton's views on things.
Yeah.
Would have been the honorable thing to do. He said, I was hacked. And then he DM'd Greg Wyshynski and said, cheap Ray-Bans, follow this link.
I mean, if Clayton Keller's available and the Edmonton Oilers aren't talking to him, then we're doing something wrong here, people.
Yeah, he's an all-star. Will is in with a little trade machine proposal. Vejmelka and Schmaltz for Yamo, Campbell, Bourgault, a first and a fourth. I don't really know why Arizona would do that because I think you could get a high-end prospect for Vejmelka, which is what Bourgault is. Yamo and Campbell are cap dumps that Arizona would want things to take, and a first for Schmaltz is probably his value right now. So I don't think that value's there. I think Yamo, Campbell, Bourgault, and a first gets you Schmaltz.
Yeah.
But then you have
that?
No, I don't think I need to give up that much for Nick Schmaltz. Owen says his dad really said no more hockey till your chores are done. No more hockey till Arizona gets their stuff together. Bro's dad really said no. Schmaltz,
how about the vote that Arizona put on last night?
So they just basically put out on Twitter, where should we try play next? Drop your thoughts in the chat.
Did you vote?
No, did you?
Yeah, I left a vote. Mesa.
Because
my buddy's parents have a house close by.
So you want to be a season ticket holder.
It'd be nice just to drop in. There's a little airport there too. There's not a lot going on in Mesa. So maybe that could be a good spot. But I think it was 74% Chandler. So we'll see.
Will says Schmaltz is an $8 million salary, but a 5.75 cap. Wonder why the Coyotes are trying to move him so fast. Like, they're scared shitless of having to pay someone an $8 million salary next year. He's got 3 more years on that ticket as well, by the way.
Oh, is this a tweet?
Yeah, this is the tweet from Brian Keller. This looks, hackers don't send out stuff like this. Apologies to those of you listening as a podcast. He said, Keller will not be there at the beginning of the season and expect offers to follow or not sign. Others to follow or not sign. Team will be moved. There are no other options. He blah, blah, blah goes on. Yeah, okay, Brian Keller. I'm sure you were hacked.
That's awesome.
It's just a weird scenario, hey?
My dad's on Twitter, and he would never say something like that.
He DMs me all the time and says, Liam won't come do the show if these demands aren't met.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into, we talked about giant offseason question today centered around free agents. There were some other questions in here. Someone asked about Taves. Someone asked about Jonathan Drouin. I'm not touching Drouin. I'd be interested in Taves, 1 year, $1 million. Sure.
Do you think Taves might be done?
Yeah, I think he might be
done.
I
think Taves might be done.
I think it's just from like my vibe and my feel of it, I wouldn't be surprised. 70% chance he retires.
Yeah, to his defense, he's gone through a lot off the ice this past couple of years. With
ton of money, ton of rings. Start your Hall of Fame clock, man.
What does he have to prove?
Nothing.
Yeah, if I was him, I'd be pulling up to Tampa and putting on my deck chair.
Yeah, not pulling up to Tampa to play for the Lightning.
No.
Yeah,
gotta pick somewhere else.
Just go ski-doo in the bay.
I believe that's what they call it.
Yeah. Let's get to our player grade for Star Mechanical. StarMechanical.ca is where you can find out more about Edmonton's #1 plumbing and heating company. We are moving in order of the jersey numbers, Liam. We started with Bouchard. We went to Ceci. We finally have a forward to talk about. It's our boy Derek Ryan for today's player grade. Here's what I got for Derek Ryan. In the regular season, hey, this guy stayed in the lineup, scored 13 goals, only had 7 assists, which is weird when you look at how his numbers kind of break down for the year. Killed penalties, played in the bottom 6 predominantly. Like, he put up 13 goals, not really getting shifts with Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl. That's always the caveat when you talk about a forward in the Oilers lineup. I think he had a really good regular season. I think 13 goals, you can't complain. I like what he did defensively. He doesn't hurt you when he's on the ice. Regular season, B+ for Derek Ryan. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, I'm probably with you on that one. Like you said, he doesn't play with the top guys, if ever. 13 goals. What is he now? 36, I think it is.
Yeah.
So very good season for him. Positive impact, I think, majority of the time, and just a guy who's consistent. Are you looking at what I
so
Liam, the wrong guy.
Liam tried to look up Derek Ryan on Elite Prospects, and instead, who did you pull up for us, Liam?
Dylan Ryan had 22 points this season, in 2011 with the Sturgeon Falls Lumberjacks.
Played with the Beaumont Chiefs in 2011 as well before retiring.
145 PIMs that year too.
Tough guy. Oilers could use him. Anyways, Derek Ryan, I go B+ in the regular season. Some people might push it to an A. Listen, if you would have had 15, 16, 17 goals, I would have been like, damn, that's an A. 13 goals is like solid bottom 6 production. He was quality on the ice, killed penalties, did his job, and really, I mean, not really much more, which is why I went B+.
He actually had less points this season than he did the year before, which is interesting. But yeah,
and he played wing too. He didn't play a ton of center. Yeah,
he's definitely slowing down a little bit in his legs, you can see, which is why he was on the wing. But yeah, I like the grading in the playoffs. I thought at the start of the run against the Kings, mostly he was very impactful. Fell off a little bit against Vegas, but I feel like a lot of players did. But yeah, I think a B is very fair for a man of his age, to be honest.
I think so. Again, he did his job and nothing more. He only scored once in the playoffs. You know?
Yeah.
Gave him solid minutes. Love the guy. Would want him back. B grade. Chance of returning next season, I am going 80%. He went on with Bob Stauffer, said he wants to be back. He's made it known throughout the year. Nugent-Bowman's reported there's mutual interest here in like a low money contract to bring this guy back. I think for $900K, I'm in. He also kind of, I think this slipped out that the year he signed in Edmonton, Calgary offered him the same deal. He chose the Oilers.
Hey, really? I didn't know.
Got the connection here with the U of A, said he'd love to finish his career as an Oiler. I would go, and people might laugh at this or rip this because I know Holland did it with Shore. I would go 2 years, $850K a year. If it really goes so bad, you can bury him.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I have no problem committing a contract to the guy to get him back next year for league min. 2 years, $850K.
I could see that being a deal. I just wonder if the Oilers want to. It's hard to say too because the Oilers just don't have right-handed players, to be honest. So I think 80 is fair. I might go a little bit lower to just like 70. I wonder if the Oilers just want to add a little bit more speed, maybe. But
he's you can surround him with speed, and he's a good player.
And he's playing the PK.
Yeah.
And maybe 70 to 80 is somewhere I would range in his return. I hope he's back. I really do.
Yep. Ryan Sharp said B+ is accurate. Tyler Mulick just said DR is the guy. Flute says Derek Ryan rocks. Rusty gave him an A in both the regular season and playoffs. The offense wasn't there for me to call him like an A-level bottom 6 guy, but he's a good bottom 6 guy. Flute and Mulick both gave him an A. Sergeant Battle said A-. Sam Squatch agreed and said B. Mulick added, he did what he needed to, added more value than he's being paid. Sure, 100%. He gave you good value at 1.2. I think he'll give you unreal value at $850K, which is why I would give him the second year.
I wouldn't bring him back for more than 900. Maybe 950.
I would like it to be under $1 million.
Yeah.
If it was 1 year, $1 million, I wouldn't scoff at it.
No,
but I'd like the fair. 2 years, $850K.
I just put a poll in the chat, Tyler.
Okay.
Would you bring back Derek Ryan?
I have a funny feeling I know how this poll's going to go.
I got a sneaky suspicion, too.
Yeah, I think the people are going to like him.
Oh, yes, 100%.
Will anyone vote no? I don't know.
Maybe Jones just gave him a C in the chat.
Yeah, Jones Amour. Clearly not a big one. Brandon says, love having DR in the bottom 6. If you're in the chat, by the way, make sure you hit the like button. Come on now. Let's keep moving along here. There's our player grade for today. Monday. We don't have a show Monday, actually. We're taking the holiday off.
We have literally not done this all year.
We have worked every holiday except Christmas Day, I think. Christmas Day and Christmas Eve. Or we did a show Christmas Eve, I think.
I think we might have.
I think Christmas Day is like the only holiday we didn't do a show this year. That is sad.
Because we definitely did one New Year's Eve because they played Winnipeg and they lost like 2 or 3-1 or whatever it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're not going to do a show Monday is what we were getting at there as we plan things live on the air here. How many episodes in are we this year then?
This is episode 187.
Oh man. So we're going to finish the year like 220 of these bad boys.
Yeah.
Nice. Anyways, we're not going to do a show Monday, but I think Ekholm is next up in the player grades. Number 14.
No 11. Yeah, because 11's retired, isn't it?
Yeah, 11's retired. There's no 12.
Oh, do we do Ekholm or Devon Shore? Do we do Devon Shore 14 or both? 14 and 19 for Devon Shore.
19. We grade him on 19. We grade him on his best stretch.
So we only grade him from March 1st. There's no playoff grade.
Yeah. Sadly. Well, we could grade his vibes in the playoffs.
True.
He took warm-ups.
That was big.
Instead of regular season playoffs, we'll do regular season grade and then a vibes grade.
Yes.
Probably be an A+. All right, let's move along and fire up the trade machine today. I teased this one yesterday and I'm fired up about it. Trade machine brought to you by our friends at AMA Travel, amatravel.ca/dreams. They got like a vacation machine there, so you can go try that out. I plugged in. I said, I want Erik Karlsson getting traded this summer. Boop-a-roo. Trade machine spit out this bad boy. Erik Karlsson at 40% retained. Back to Ottawa, Liam. For Jake Sanderson, a 2024 first and a 2025 third-round pick. Let me outline the logic in this deal for both sides. If you're Ottawa, you have some good young defensemen in the system right now. You're still going to have Jacob Bernard-Docker, who's going to be a young piece. You have Thomas Chabot locked up. Jacob Chikrin's 25. Chabot's 26, by the way. Artem Zub's 27. With Bernard-Docker coming on his ELC, Lassie Thompson's in the minors there as well, and he's good. You can afford to give up Jake Sanderson. New ownership would love the storyline of Erik Karlsson coming back to Ottawa. I think this is fair value to give up. Some people might say a hair too much with Sanderson being at the level he is and the first round pick as well. And the third would probably have some conditions on it where it could move up to a second. Some people might say first 100-point defenseman since Brian Leetch in 92. That's not enough. How many teams are realistically interested in Erik Karlsson this offseason? 40% gets him retained down to what? 6.8, somewhere in that range?
It's around there.
If you're Sharks ownership, you might not love it. But for at least the next 2 years, you have Sanderson on his ELC. So you're basically just paying more to take Jake Sanderson or to get Jake Sanderson. Mm-hmm. And that's a piece. Why would you not love that guy on your blue line for the next decade? You're getting a first as well. Who knows where that first could be, but you add an extra asset, third round pick that maybe could become a second as well. Potentially 2 solid draft picks and the future of your blue line. And listen, they're in a rebuild. They don't need Erik Karlsson. You get a little bit of that money off your books. I think that's a win for the San Jose Sharks as well. Karlsson probably won't be the 100-point guy. You should sell him for what you can. The Oilers aren't in the market for EK65 anymore. I do not believe that to be the case. I could not see the logic behind it. So who else is going to want this guy? Who else is going to be interested in giving up multiple assets for an aging Erik Karlsson, even though he's going to win the Norris this year in all likelihood?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of your points. I think San Jose would take this for sure.
You get 2 premium assets and you get money off your books. I'm not sure how many teams are giving you, and you don't have to take any salary back, right? That's the big one. Ottawa has like 17 million cap space, so they can do this deal pretty straight up.
Yeah, that's true. I think, sure, why not? Let's do it. I mean, Erik Karlsson back to Ottawa would be, frankly, amazing. And it'd be quite funny to see. I wonder what the whole trade would kind of look like from when he left to when he came, and like the whole trade tree around it and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, Erik Karlsson back there. San Jose, I think this makes a lot of sense for them. You get a great player, a great young player in Jake Sanderson, who's actually from Calgary, by the way. Mm-hmm. First round pick next year, and you don't really know what Ottawa is fully going to be next year. They still might miss the playoffs. So, yeah, that's I like that one from San Jose. I think Ottawa might be a little bit hesitant to start with, but once it gets going, I think both teams could be winners.
Do you have any idea how cocky I'm going to be if the trade machine, I should say, nails one of these?
Any of them?
What
was the first one we did?
Nylander for Saros.
Right.
And then it was Hayes for Gerard and a pick. Kevin Hayes
I like
for
that
Gerard
one.
and a pick. And then this one is the third.
It's the fourth. You did Beckman and Lindholm.
Oh, yeah. Lindholm going to Minnesota for Beckman in a first.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what you all say. Tyler Mulick, all caps. Yes. Hammer the like button. Brian and Ryan both said no from Ottawa's perspective. I don't know about that. I know Sanderson's good, but come on, Karlsson back there. They're trying to win, man. They're trying to take that step.
I think, too, the Claude Giroux signing is interesting in the sense of like they want to bring players to Ottawa.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of makes sense to me.
Derek says, I think Ottawa is smart enough not to bet on Karlsson replicating this year. But even for this deal to be worth it for them, again, they're trying to take a step forward and surround that young core with winners or good high-end players. They need to start playing meaningful hockey games. There's value in bringing Karlsson and getting 1 or 2 more 80-point seasons out of him, not 100-point seasons. And he put up 100 points on a dog shit team.
Yeah. The Ottawa team will be better next year. For sure.
And they'll be miles better than San Jose was this year.
Yeah. And the one thing, too, I think is intriguing in this is like Peter Dorian has proven he's not afraid to kind of make the push to make his team better. Like their first pick this draft is round 4 for a team that's kind of like in the middle. Like to me, it shows they're making a push and they're not just trading it for anyone. They're trading it for players with like term on the deals, right?
Brian said, why would Ottawa give that up for max 3 years of Karlsson? Okay, Sanderson hurts to give up, but you got to give to get. And again, you're going to have Shabbat, Chikrin, Zub, Karlsson. And then you have Bernard Docker and Lassie Thompson coming up too. You have pieces that you can just go fill on the third pairing. I don't know. I think it makes sense. I think this one makes sense. Mulick said Karlsson still lives in Ottawa in the offseason. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that Brandstrom as well. Nick Holden.
Yeah.
No, he's probably going to.
I'd like Nick Holden here as our 7th D.
I wouldn't mind him. Good St. Albert boy, former Sherwood Park Crusader.
Yep.
Be great.
He'd be a great fit. Oh, man, I accidentally closed the window with the live feed. Now I can't see what the chat's saying. Anyways, there you go. There's our trade machine for this week, brought to you by AMA Travel. We do one of those every show. Mm-hmm. We do a player grade every show. We do a Sherwood Ford Giant offseason question every single show. No show Monday, but we are back on Tuesday live from the Sports Closet studio. Will Kyle Dubas be a GM in a different city by Tuesday?
No.
Yeah, too quick of a turnaround. Will Sheldon Keefe still be the Leafs head coach?
I'm going to say yes.
But he won't be when the season starts.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Giddy up. Did we have anything else we had to hit on? Oh, Logan Cooley's not going to go to Arizona next year.
Hilarious because he'll be playing in an arena that is double the size of the Mullet Arena. I
Minnesota Golden Gophers, right?
Yes. I think it's called the 3M Arena or something like that. It has a capacity of 10,000. Mullet Arena 5.
Oh, smart move.
Bigger fan base in Minnesota for him. What does that say about that franchise right now? I'm sure they obviously had a little bit of a say in it as well, but I bet Cooley was kind of pushing like, I might stay. Another year. We need some more stability there. But if it's
I could just see him being like, I don't want to touch that organization right now.
Hasn't signed yet.
The Arizona Coyotes, what are they doing? Mulick just posted this, so I went to go check if he was kidding or not. He wasn't. 29 minutes ago, the Coyotes tweeted, word for word, Pack. If this tweet gets 20K likes by the end of the day, we'll leak our new arena plans.
They've been weird.
What the hell's going on right now?
Yeah, they've been really weird. How about that one a couple down when it was the Michael Jackson one there when they went over Wachinski's tweet, I believe it was. So the odds. And it's just like,
what are you
doing? You're
doing?
Literally the laughingstock of the league and you're not making it any better for yourself. You made a poll asking people where you want to play next season.
Who won the poll?
Chandler.
I didn't even know that was a
place.
A vote. Oh, no, Scottsdale won.
Sorry, Scottsdale.
Chandler came in last.
Wow.
Which means that's where they'll pick.
What was how did Mesa do?
Mesa. 15.4.
Second. Not bad.
There you go. All right. Have a great long weekend, everybody. Party responsibly.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's an important one. And come tune into the show on Tuesday. Tell your friends about it as well. You're sitting around a fire on May Long. You're like, hey, anyone here watch Oilersnation Everyday? All right. Let's go get a Bud Light, Liam. Enjoy your weekend, everybody.